Hello! Welcome to Nerds Collide, a podcast about all things geeky and possibly dorky. He is Justin.
What the fuck is up?
And I'm fucking Travis.
I've had that idea for like 3 weeks. Where I'm just like, what the fuck is up?
And together, we're just a couple of nerds.
A couple of nerds.
It only took 4 episodes for our intro to fall off the rails.
Well, you know, you're gonna.
It happens.
You need to break a couple eggs to make an omelet. Am I right?
Yeah, I guess so.
Yeah, I guess you're right.
Yeah. So, I guess to break the fourth wall a bit, I guess to let our listeners know, this is the first time that we've sat down and recorded an episode since the release of our podcast.
Yeah, we're recording this on a Friday. We just released episodes 0, 1, and 2 on this past Monday. So, yeah, it's really exciting.
Yeah, I would say for the most part, the responses that we've gotten rather have been for the most part pretty good.
Yeah, I would say so too.
Yeah.
I did in my posts kind of what's the word I'm looking for? Preface it with you know, the show has its flaws, but you know, obviously, you know, we're just starting out and we're still figuring things out in terms of format and editing and even putting it up on social media, but you know, I'm really proud of what we're doing. So we've been working real hard at it.
Yeah, me too. And I think I also wrote in my post, I said something along the lines of during the process of creating those first 2 episodes, and I believe I edited episode 1. I just wanted to delete the entire file and start over.
Yeah.
But I think
I had that happen so many times during editing where I was just like, let's just trash this, I'll start over. But
yeah.
I think I even told you that. Like, I was like, dude, I'm gonna start.
Yeah. But you know, I think like I said in my post, I think it's more fun to put out what we have, and then the people that are here from day one, they get to go on the journey with us and see how we grow and see how the show eventually evolves. And you know, and in the future, if anybody comes back and listens to these old episodes, they can kind of see where we started from and listen to how terrible we are at podcasting.
Hey man,
but
we're you know, I like to believe that we're the best podcasters right now that are recording right now.
We're the rookie podcasters of the year. two episodes in, we're already.
Put me in, coach.
Right. So what are your post-release feelings?
A lot of things, honestly. Like, putting it up, felt really vulnerable, I guess. Really vulnerable and naked. Just, you know, but anytime you put anything out in the world, like, that's creative, that you worked really hard on, that's kind of you know, about kind of an extension of yourself, I guess. You know, people in the world and on the net like to shit on everything. So I think it's easy to get caught up in that thinking of like, oh man, nobody's gonna like this. What's the point of releasing it? All that stuff. But you know, at the same time, I was also excited to just put something out based on just because of how hard we worked on it. So
yeah, for me, those hours leading up to when those episodes were set to publish, they were, for the most part, aside from me being exhausted working on the video versions for YouTube, I was just filled with excitement. if you would have asked me a few weeks ago, I probably would have told you I was going to be a nervous wreck, just because this is really my first time putting myself out there to be vulnerable. I'm usually very introverted, so it was surprising to me to feel, well, to not feel anxious or nervous or anything. I was just excited, and I ended up falling asleep before the episode's published. And remember when I woke up and the first thing I checked was I went to Apple Podcasts, and when I seen it there, I just had this big stupid grin on my face.
Yeah, I stayed up and I stayed up until the published time, and then like kept closing and reopening Spotify. Because even though I set it for the time, it didn't actually publish until like a half an hour afterwards. So I was like, all right, that's that's weird. So yeah, and then I kind of post on social media about it, and our on our Instagram, Nerds Collide Pod. Cheap plug right there.
Yeah.
And then my own like private one, and kind of just yeah, just kind of I was excited about it being up. So it's a good feeling, I think.
Yeah. Honestly, I didn't get any like, I started to feel awkward when some of my family members started reaching out. They said, "Hey, I found your podcast. I'm gonna listen to it." And I'm just like, "Oh shit!"
Oh shit! They're gonna hear Justin drop a C word on the world,
which is weird because like those are the people I should be probably least nervous about hearing it, because they're the people who know me the best,
right?
But for some reason, when they reached out and they're like, "Hey, congratulations, that's awesome," because I didn't tell anybody, like any of my family members. I didn't tell them that we were working on this. I don't know. I just like to work in private that way. So no, and so they found out when everybody else on my social media found out. So when they reached out, that's when I kind of I kind of wanted to crawl in my shell for a second, but but no, I'm glad it's out. And I look forward to all the episodes to come.
Yeah, how many do we say? 7? There's gonna be 10 episodes.
Yeah.
It's gonna be 10 episodes of our podcast.
Yeah, 10 episodes. That's it. Yeah,
that's all we need to be rookies of the year.
Right.
I did discover that we're a couple of liars.
I discovered that too.
Yeah, we informed the world in episode 0 about the 3DS and Wii eShop closures that it was March 23rd, when in fact it was May 23rd, which is 10 days from now at this point. So we're just a couple of fucking liars.
I also lied in episode 2 when I said the first book that I read after that money management book was what I said it was Pet Sematary. That was a lie. Well, it wasn't a lie. I remembered incorrectly because when I listened back to the episode, I was like, "Wait, no, I went back to Hell House and finished that first." But at one point, I did have Pet Sematary just sitting in my locker, and I had finished something else I was reading, and then I already had that sitting in my locker to pick up and read next. So that part is true. It just wasn't the first thing. I went back to the first book that I bought, which was Hell House, and finished it.
Yeah, we're just a couple of liars.
Yeah.
How can
I guess if we're gonna be liars, we shouldn't tell our audience that we lied, and we should just let them believe the lie?
No, man. We gotta hold ourselves accountable for our lies. Well, obviously they weren't like
they weren't malicious.
Yeah, it wasn't intentional. There was no ill will or anything. It was just mixed up a date, mixed up a timeline.
it's just funny because we make really detailed show notes that we honestly probably don't pay a lot of attention to once we start recording anyway, but we make these really detailed notes, and at no point during my diligent note taking did I realize, oh wait, no, it wasn't Pet Cemetery. It was Hell House. And it wasn't until I listened back to the episode already published, not when I listened to it after you edited it and you're like, hey, give this a listen. It was after it was already out there in the world that I was like, wait, that's not right.
To be fair, we were in crunch time that last week because you were working. You were still editing one. I was still editing two. We were working. So anything where it was just kind of like, I know you definitely sent me episode 1 and was like, take a listen, and I listened to it for like 20 minutes and was like, I gotta work on I gotta work on the other episode. Sounds good.
What's funny is I told you like I'll never listen to episode 1 again. But once it was published, I listened to it again.
Wow, we're just
I had to listen to it once after it was out.
Yeah, just to be like, to get it out of you, to wash it off of you.
Yeah. But I will say, you mentioned that we need to hold each other accountable, or hold ourselves accountable, and I got to do a little bit of that myself right now.
Uh-oh.
I need to walk back some things I said in episode 3. So if you haven't heard episode 3, you should pause this episode and go back, listen to episode 3, and then come back.
Come back.
So in episode 3, I said some pretty hellacious things about the Toy Story franchise. And I need to walk some of that back.
It's that damn ABC Family 25 Days of Christmas.
Yeah. The day after we recorded episode 3, I was at work and it was a slow night. So I put on Toy Story 4. And when that intro theme came on, I just had the biggest stupid fucking grin on my face.
Does it play the song?
It does. I think
the Randy
it does.
Newman song?
Yeah.
Okay.
And it just felt like I was coming home. It was like a warm embrace. After so many years of just hating Toy Story for what it did that one year to 25 Days of Christmas. So yeah, I finished Toy Story 4 and I really, really enjoyed it. It might be my favorite sequel.
Let me be clear. I love that movie. I think I love it more because I love 3 a lot, and I was like perfectly content with that being the ending of their story. So when they announced 4, I kind of thought, I don't know if this is a good idea. How are you guys going to top that? Like, it doesn't seem like you had the perfect ending. This just feels kind of tacked on at some point. But I think I love that movie so much just because they really nailed a story that was worth watching, even after pretty much the perfect ending to the trilogy.
Yeah, the animation in Toy Story 4 is it's absolutely beautiful, especially that opening scene in the rain, in the dark. They nailed it. They knocked it out of the park. I will say I was worried the first 30 minutes that this movie was going to be focused around Forky, I believe his name is.
Oh yeah, yeah. He was in a lot of the pre-launch hype to the merchandising and advertising. So I get that.
Yeah, he was slightly annoying in the beginning, but once the focus kind of shifted away from him, I think the charm for that character came through. I think the first time it made me laugh was when he was jumping out of the RV and he was like, I don't want to be a toy. I'm made for soups and sometimes chili.
That's funny.
I had to come in here and be honest and take back some of that stuff I said about Toy Story.
I'm glad you've seen the light, Travis. Toy Story 4 is phenomenal. I actually haven't seen it. I saw it twice in theaters, and I've never watched it again. I'm pretty sure I own it. I think. I don't know. I'll have to go back and rewatch it now.
Well, speaking of watching
Yeah,
things,
speaking of watching,
you
I've been watching a bunch of movies lately. I've been really into movies. I watched a bunch of Kevin Smith movies that he wrote and directed. Mostly, well, all of which take place in the Universe, which is his fictional setting in New Jersey. That all like starting with Clerks, all those movies take place in like Mallrats, Chasing Amy, Jay and Silent Bob. It all started because I was watching an interview with Kevin Smith. He has like a long storied beef with Bruce Willis, and because they made Cop Out together, which I've never seen, but I hear it's not good. So maybe one day I'll watch it. But apparently that was a real nightmare to work on for Kevin Smith, in terms of interacting with Bruce Willis. But Bruce Willis recently came out and said that he has aphasia. Then, somewhere in that, he mentioned Jay and Silent Bob reboot, which I had never seen before. And so I was kind of just like, all right, let me watch it. I honestly wasn't expecting to like it at all. Just because based on the trailers and stuff, it just did not seem appealing to me. I watched it. It's okay. It's basically a goof on Hollywood in general about how remakes and reboots are pretty much all Hollywood studios make anymore. But like the plot of it is a remake of Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back. And it just kind of references a lot of his other work, which, like, it's fun if you've seen all the movies, but I wouldn't necessarily say it's good. It has good parts, though, I guess. Anyway, this spiraled into me watching all his movies, because there was one I hadn't ever seen in Chasing Amy, which I'm not even going to get into that, because I have so many thoughts about it. But yeah, I watched all his movies that deal with New Jersey, and specifically revolve around the Quick Stop, or started with the Quick Stop in Clerks 1. I watched I didn't. Oh, I did. I watched Clerks. I watched Clerks 1. I watched Clerks 2 two times. I watched a documentary about Clerks 2. I watched Dogma, Chasing Amy, Mallrats, Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back. And then, like I said, I watched Jay and Silent Bob Reboot. So, I've been watching a lot of movies.
Yeah, you were telling me about it, and that kind of caused me to rewatch Clerks 1 and 2 just last night, actually.
Yeah,
those are the only two of his that I've seen.
Okay.
So, yeah, when you mentioned it, it kind of made me want to go back, and like I said, I had another slow night at work, so I was able to watch both of them.
Yeah, so I guess before we get into what we think of each one, maybe I'll give a little history about Kevin Smith, and then maybe we can talk about our history with each movie. Then I guess.
All right.
So
okay.
yeah, both are written and directed by Kevin Smith. The first one came out in 1994. It was made for a little over $27,000, which is crazy. He basically like maxed out a bunch of credit cards and sold his comic book collection to make it, and it got picked up by Miramax, and its box office was $3 million. So like, that's crazy. Like, and also, reading about Kevin Smith, he went to film school for 4 months. I was like, that is not a lot. That is not a lot of time. Um, he used to be. It's funny. He used to be spoken of in the same breath as like Quentin Tarantino and Spike Lee, and it's just really obvious that like, I'm not even trying to shit on Kevin Smith, but it's like he would probably say this too. Like, it's obvious he's not the filmmaker that those two are. Not even in terms of writing, but just like movement of camera and like having, you know, more show not tell aspects of actual filmmaking. I don't know. It's just funny that he was kind of grouped in that, and you know, hindsight is 2020, I guess.
Yeah.
Well, what's your history with the two movies, Travis?
So I actually seen Clerks II first.
Okay.
It was probably the year it came out, 2006. 2006. Video rental stores were still a thing.
Where'd you rent it from?
Probably Blockbuster.
Damn.
There was a time we used to go to this little mom and pop video store that was near our house, but you know, first time you go to Blockbuster and they got like 30 copies of every movie and you don't got to worry about.
It's like that scene in Clerks 1.
Yeah.
Wait, what was the video store? Was it GM Video?
Yes,
yeah,
it was.
Okay. Man, I never rented from there, but when it was going out of business, because it was going out of business for like months, and my friends and I, because I was a teenager at that point, my friends and I would go there and like go. Wait, I did rent a movie from there. Okay, so I did rent movies from there, but when it was closing, I remember being like, "Oh man, let's go up there and buy some VHS tapes." And I remember they had Chairman of the Board starring Carrot Top, and I really enjoyed that movie at the time. It's not good, but it's funny. And so I picked up the box and was like, "Oh, I'm gonna buy this," and I pulled the VHS tape out, and it was not Chairman of the Board. It was something completely different. I was like, "This is bullshit." That was the only copy they had, right? So I went home, and my neighbor across the street, Andrew, and I were talking about the GM Video going out of business, and I was like, "Man," I said, "I really wanted to buy Chairman of the Board," which is probably a sentence no one has ever said besides me. And I said, "I really wanted to buy Chairman of the Board, but some asshole put another VHS tape in the box." And he said, "That was me. I bought Chairman of the Board." Good old GM Video.
The thing I remember most about GM Video is you would go in there, you went all the way to the back wall. They had like a whole section of just wrestling VHSs.
Oh yeah, I do remember that.
And I would rent like all the older WCW pay-per-view ones. Just go home and watch them.
That is cool.
Yeah. Good old times. So anyway, back to Clerks. Yeah. That was actually a smaller side tangent. I thought we was getting ready to go for like 30 minutes on GM Video. I'm proud of us.
We're getting better, guys. All right.
Right. So yeah, my family growing up, we did this thing, I'm sure a lot of families did it at that time. Friday afternoon would come, you get out of school, parents would get off work, and part of that Friday night ritual would be to go to the Blockbuster and get a few DVDs or VHSs or whatever, get a few movies to watch over the weekend. And it's funny, back then you would get one or two, and you would watch them a few times before you took them back that Monday, because who knew when you were going to rent them again.
Right.
So one Friday, it just happened to be Clerks 2 that we rented, and I remember when we first watched it, I really thought it was funny, thought it was hilarious, probably watched it like 3 times that weekend. And then I wouldn't watch it for a long time. And then it was a few years later that I finally caught the original, probably on HBO or somewhere on network television maybe. It took me a minute to get past it being in black and white because
Yeah.
I didn't know the backstory. Obviously now I know why it was shot in black and white. And I remember enjoying that. I remember enjoying it too, but I didn't like it as much as Clerks II until I would eventually rewatch the first one a few more times, and probably by the second or not third listen, third watch, it really grew on me. Like I said, I got over the black and white. Um,
The black and white aesthetic.
yeah, the black and white aesthetic, and yeah, I think the original stands the test of time. And yesterday was the first time that I watched Clerks 2 in its entirety since probably that weekend way back in 2006, and it does not stand the test of time. It was probably like 5 years ago. Um, I was on, I was somewhere because we were in a hotel. I think it was when I went to Houston. Maybe I don't know. But we were in the hotel and I was just scrolling through the TV and I seen Clerks 2 and I got really excited. I'm like, oh man, I haven't seen this in years. And I turned it on and it was like somewhere in the middle. And then it took like 5 minutes. I'm like, this is shit. And then I turned it off.
So I guess before we get into our thoughts on Clerks
Yeah,
2,
why don't you give your history?
my older brother has been a fan of the first one for a long time, and so I would like constantly hear him, repeating lines of dialogue and talking about the movie with friends. And so by the time I actually watched it, like for myself, I kind of had everything ruined. Like all the jokes were kind of spoiled on me, and I so when on that first watch through, I should say, it kind of fell flat on me. Yeah, it was very underwhelming because a movie like that was Clerks 1 was really hyped up by my brother and his friends and my friends, and then when I finally watched it, because I heard so much about it, it was just one of those things where it could never live up to the hype. At least not originally, I should say. So when I watched it, it was kind of just underwhelming. But then I mean I liked it. I should say that. I enjoyed it, but it was I didn't think it was as funny as people made it out to be. Then Clerks 2 got announced, and my friends and I were pretty excited, and we went to the theater and saw it on opening day and watched it, really enjoyed it. We actually went a second time, like the entire group of people that went to the first time went again and watched it again. I'm gonna save that story for a little later because the second theater viewing, I'm gonna save that story for later. But anyway, saw it twice in theaters. Bought the DVD when it came out. Watched it a bunch. I had like a lot of the movie memorized for a long time. Even when I rewatched it, there were certain scenes where I knew the exact dialogue that was coming. Yeah, and then eventually, I started to rewatch Clerks 1 and started to appreciate it more. I think when I was really dug into the backstory of it is when I really started to like it a lot more. Just because, how it was funded, how it was filmed, that whole process, how it got picked up and distributed. It's really easy. It's an underdog story. It's really easy to get behind. So yeah, I started to appreciate it more as time went on.
All right, so you want to go through each one and kind of break them down a little bit, talk about the things that we like and dislike.
Yeah, sure. We'll start with Clerks II. No, I'm just kidding.
No.
We'll start on a down note.
No.
Let's start on Clerks 1. So,
All right.
I think to just put this out there first, I think it's his best movie. First or second best movie. I think Dogma is really close in terms of quality, but there's a lasting appeal of Clerks that I think pushes it over the edge. But yeah, I'm just get that out there. Clerks is probably his best movie.
Well, since I've only seen Clerks and Clerks 2, I would have to agree with you.
Out of the two movies I've seen, this one is the best.
Yeah. I would say right out the gate, it makes it so relatable because he gets called into work on his day off. You know, I think he was sleeping on the floor.
No, he was sleeping in the closet. Remember?
Oh, okay. So that's not so much relatable, but
that part makes me laugh every time I watch it because like he just falls out of the closet. I'm like, all right.
Yeah. So right at the beginning, they make you relate to this character because he's getting called into work on his day off and he just closed the night before. So I really like that they start off that way.
He does his whole morning routine and then the opening montage ends where he finally has everything set up and he just like sighs because, he's exhausted and it's like, all right, the day is starting.
Yeah, you know what? I do have a bit of a nerdy nitpick.
Yeah.
Because, like I said, they make him really relatable right out the gate, and then they take it away. Once he realizes that the shutters won't open, he goes and he grabs the shoe polish and he starts making the sign. Like, if I get called into work on my day off and the shutters won't open, you're just gonna think we're closed.
I honestly do relate to that shoe polish part. I probably wouldn't go that far, but like there have been times where I like something like will happen at a job, and I'll be mad about it, but I'll still go out of my way instead of just taking the easy way and being like, all right, fuck it. I'll like do something like that, like make a sign.
Well, all right, fucking goody two shoes over here. I ain't doing shit.
No, I mean that's good. You shouldn't, but like
no.
It's just, yeah. I don't know what it is. It's just how I am, I guess. I'll like begrudgingly, try to appease the masters.
Yikes.
Appease the masters, aka my bosses and stockholders.
Yeah. Jumping ahead a little bit. Another thing I really like about the movie is the scene where Randall is watching Return of the Jedi.
So, to start, I love the sound effects that play when he's watching it.
That's what I was getting to, because it's so obviously not Star Wars.
Pew, pew, pew. Oh!
It's like they just went through, like, they just found, like, whatever the cheapest or the most basic option they had that sounded remotely similar to Star Wars, but and I guess to be fair, if you're not a Star Wars nerd like myself or you probably won't pick up on that.
Yeah, right.
But I noticed that right away. I'm like, wait a minute.
Yeah, I love that part so much. There's like so many small things that are obviously done because of budget. Like, but I honestly think they have a charm about them. Like that in particular, that just like 3 laser sounds and then a terrible scream. It's just so funny to me.
My favorite parts of the movie take place in the video store, because my absolute favorite part of that movie is when Randall's just sitting on the counter reading the newspaper and he's ignoring the customer. And then she was like, I'm never coming here again. And she storms out, and then he just chases her out, and he's like, hey, you know what? You can't rent here anymore. And then Jay's like, yeah!
What's cool about those movies is even though they're filmed on such a low budget and like he has friends uh in the main cast, I think there's only like two actual actors in that movie, and that's Brian O'Halloran, who plays Dante, and then I need to look it up because I want to give credit where credit's due. Marilyn Gigliotti is her name. She plays Veronica. But yeah, a lot of his friends are just actors in the movie. There's like a weird like continuity. Like you wouldn't expect someone with that low of a budget and making their first film and like the cast, like novice cast, to have these sort of consistent timeline with how things are shot. Like Jay and Silent Bob in that scene you just said are like outside the window, which like is such a small thing, like because they're outside the store all day outside that window, but in that scene in particular you can see them in the window. So like, and I get that they're like the ending gag, but like, I just feel like it's an accomplishment that he was like, yeah, make sure you can see them in the window because they're there all the time. So reinforces that idea.
There is one minor, I guess, plot hole.
Yeah.
In the movie. So it's when Veronica drops off the lasagna and they make the date to get coffee after he closes. And then right after that is when he gets the call and finds out that he has to close. Meaning, prior to that phone call, he was still expecting his boss to come in and relieve him. But him and Veronica just had this conversation of saying, hey, I have to close. Basically, I have to close. We can go get coffee afterwards.
Oh, yeah, I think you're right.
Yeah, it's so noticeable. It's so noticeable because the scene where he gets the phone call that his boss isn't coming is right after she's left and dropped off the lasagna, and they made the date. So there's a little plot hole there, but other than that, and that's really not a big thing at all. I really don't have too much to complain about the original Clerks. I think like I said, I think it stands the test of time. I think sometimes the dialogue gets a little, I don't know, unrealistic, I guess, but and we were actually texting back and forth as I was watching it last night because as I was writing my notes, like I was writing down notes as I was watching it, I wrote, "Who the hell talks like this?"
The scene you sent me specifically where Dante's like, "May I be blunt with you?" and then goes into that diatribe about how the title dictates behavior.
Yeah.
But, yeah. I mean, like I said, I think it wouldn't work. I kind of flip flop on whether I think Kevin Smith's dialogue is actually realistic or not. A lot of the times, I think it works in Clerks 1 because like the whole movie is kind of reinforcing the idea that Dante and Randall are way smarter than. They have too much potential. They're too smart to be just stuck in a convenience store and a video store. But it's like one chooses to be there because he enjoys just making fun of people. And the other one is just so afraid of change that, anything outside his comfort zone is too scary. So, and he would rather just be comfortable and complain about it instead of actually making change.
Yeah, and one thing I hate about Clerks 2, which we'll get there in a minute, is how stupid they make Randall.
Yep.
But in the original, they go out of their way to convey that, like, no, he's actually, like, quite intelligent and he's capable of, doing something other than just working at this video store and being a douchebag to customers. Like, case in point, like, his Return of the Jedi theory. Like, the way he conveyed, like, what he thought about that scene or that movie, like, it's stupid, but that's an intelligent thought.
Right.
And then in the sequel, which I guess if you just want to do you just want to unless you have anything else to talk about about the original, we can get into the sequel now.
I guess I'll just say that it is fascinating how it does stand a test of time, considering like it feels like a 90s movie. It's got, obviously it was filmed in the 90s. Everyone has that sort of aesthetic in terms of the way they dress. But just it's so weird, like, and it's filmed on, it's such a small budget movie. It's just fascinating.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree 100%.
And
then you get the Clerks II.
Oh, I do have a lot of notes for Clerks II. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, let's go to Clerks II.
Let me just start off by saying that this movie is a giant flaming piece of shit. This movie is terrible. It's terrible, but you know what? You got a lot of notes on it, and you probably got nicer things to say about it. So I'll let you go, and then I'll come in and I'll shit on it, or I'll interrupt you and I'll shit on it.
So like I said, I watched it twice. So I watched it once and was kind of just like, this doesn't really hold up well. And I mentioned that to you in our text messages, and then I watched a documentary about it, and then I watched it again, and it obviously is nowhere near as good as the original. But I don't ever think the intention was to top the first one. It's kind of bold to even attempt to make a sequel to Clerks, just because that movie's so revered and, highly thought of. It is kind of a brave to even do that. I think the comedy in Clerks 1 is really what makes it stand out, because it is just such a funny and quotable movie. The dramatic scenes in Clerks 1, like, they're good, but I wouldn't say that's like a highlight. I don't want to say highlight, but the comedy is first, and then the drama is second when you're talking about Clerks 1. And it's funny, I think Clerks 2 is the opposite, where the dramatic elements of Clerks 2 are just a lot better, I feel, than the comedy.
Yeah. Well, that's probably attributed to the stakes for Dante are higher in the second film.
Yeah.
I mean, in the original, you're weighing the girl that you're currently dating against, your high school crush. In the sequel, you're weighing your fiance to this woman you have a child coming with.
Right. Yeah.
So that probably lends to definitely like on a rewatch, once you already have that information, it lends to those dramatic scenes landing a little bit more.
Yeah. So yeah, I love the opening.
I do too.
It's funny, in the first one, there's not a lot of camera movement. And in the second one, there, is a lot of camera movement. But in that initial opening, it's basically a shot-for-shot remake of the scene where Dante gets to the store in the first one. And so obviously that was intentional. But yeah, when he opens, it's actually honestly visually impressive when he opens the shutters and it's engulfed in flames, because the flames are actually in color. And then, yeah.
I like how he just immediately shuts them too.
Yeah, I think that part's so funny. It's funny to think that, like, Dante had a vision of that, just like, I hope this place would burn down one day. And then, like, he actually sees it and is like, what? Yeah, the opening is great. But then, so to get into your point about Randall, being dumbed down, Randall walks into the store like it's burned down. I just feel like he would be more perceptive. There could have been an easy workaround too, where like he was like reading his paper, walking into the store, and then then realized it was engulfed in flames. But yeah, it's apparent immediately that like Randall has been dumbed down.
And then they do these little things throughout the film too that just support him being stupid, like when Elias shows up to work and there's the there's the I love cock sign, and he's like, oh, at least you spelled cocks right this time. he
Yeah.
literally made that same sign in the original film, but
Wait, no, he didn't. Jay
yeah,
did.
did he? Okay.
Yeah, because they trick him, but then
Oh, okay.
he's holding it, and then
Oh,
Dante's like,
okay.
"Who loves Jack?"
Okay. Yeah, but
But yeah,
just that little offhand comment. Oh, at least he spelled Cox right.
yeah, it's
It didn't need to be there.
yeah. And the funny thing is, so Elias says that, and then Randall goes into a speech about how the Transformers are like a slight against God, which is like, it's just such a mix of tones. Like,
Yeah.
there's not really a lot of balance. I will say that I like all the new characters introduced in Clerks 2. Like, I like Elias. I like Becky. Um, I even like what the hell is his wife's name? His fiance, I should say. Uh,
Isn't her name in the movie Emma?
Emma. That's it. Okay.
Okay. Yeah, I guess I would say that I don't care for much of the stuff like between the beginning and the end. Like I like the beginning and I really like the end. Everything in between is like kind of whatever for me. But I do like the scenes with where it's just Randall and Elias. Like specifically when they're talking about Transformers. Like I like that Elias just walks up to him on the computer like if you're looking for a really cool Transformers website.
Yeah, their interactions are really funny. Sometimes they get pushed to like a point where I'm just like, all right, that's enough. That's enough of that. But for the most part, I think their interactions are really nice. I just like Elias as like this dorky little teenager, and Randall has fun tormenting him, but also is like he likes him, but in the way he shows is
Yeah,
just
because
to kind of fuck with him.
Randall makes the comment, "Oh, when Mr. Dante leaves, you're gonna be my best friend."
Okay, so let's just dive into that
You
scene.
want to get into into
Into pillow pants.
pillow pants? All right.
I honestly don't like this part, and I think the payoff of it, where because Randall is like, you're gonna have to start telling me stuff. I'll keep your secrets, and then Elias goes and tells him, and then Randall is immediately like, "Hey Dante, you'll never believe what Elias just told." That's like just so fucking funny. But yes, and I get what they were going for is kind of just like because even like the background music is like sort of creepy, and like Randall's just kind of like wide eyed, like what the fuck are you talking about?
My biggest problem with that scene is I don't know if what's the girl's name again?
Myra Hotchkiss.
I don't know if Myra is the one that's telling Elias this lie, or if she also believes it, and it's a lie from her parents.
So yeah, I always thought there were like three interpretations of that scene. One is that Elias is making the entire thing up, like including Myra, which it probably is.
I didn't think of that.
So that makes it even funnier because he invented this entire scenario that's like so fucking weird. And
Yeah, because if you're inventing a girlfriend, why wouldn't you just lie about the fact that you've had sex?
yeah, right.
And instead you go further into your imagination and create a reason why you can't.
Yeah. And you can kind of tell, I think that's what they were going for, because as he's telling the story, he like is looking around like, so even though she totally wants to, like it feels like it's something off the top of his head.
Yeah.
So I think that's one way you can interpret it. The other two are, like you said, either Myra is real and is telling Elias this because she doesn't want to have sex with him, and Elias is so like gullible and weird that he'll actually believe this, or that Myra's parents actually told Myra this, And she believes it, and she told Elias, and Elias believes it, and then Elias tells it to Randall, and he's like, what the fuck are you talking about? Thinking of it in terms of it could be any of these three is funny, but I don't know if the actual, like, subject matter is necessarily funny. I mean, it was funny when I watched it when I was, like, 16, but as a 33-year-old man, I'm just kind of like, alright.
Yeah. I didn't find much funny in the movie. I didn't laugh very much. And it's funny because when I told you that I had like an issue with some of the dialogue in the original, by the time I got to the end of that I realized that it was that dialogue was what I found probably most amusing about
Mm-hmm.
that movie. And then in 2, it seems like they stripped that away and they replaced it with like these poor attempts at humor that were just either extremely racist, offensive, or obscene. They were like
Yeah, the lowest hanging fruit, pretty
yeah,
much.
like the entire like racist scene that leads to Randall dropping the N word. I is so stupid and it serves nothing to the movie. I think. Uh, I don't know. It's probably not my place, but I don't know. I take issue with these white directors creating something in the movie where this white actor gets to drop the N word and it's like serves nothing to the movie whatsoever. Like if you take it out, the movie's not missing it. It doesn't need it. So what is it there for?
Yeah, I totally get that. I'm not nearly as harsh on this. I mean, my beef with it in general is I think Randall would have said that a lot sooner in Dante and Randall's friendship. Like it wouldn't have taken until they were in their 30s for him to drop a word like that, and then Dante, say, "Oh my god, like that's fucking racist, dude." I think it would have happened way sooner. But yeah, I get that though, because I think Quentin Tarantino is a big uh, like
He's
his
guilty of that too.
he's guilty of that too,
Yeah.
especially like in Pulp Fiction, because I've watched all his movies earlier, or late last year, I should say, and in Pulp Fiction, there's a scene where he just says the N word a bunch of times, and I'm just like, this is, and you can like feel like at least I did. I felt like this scene only exists so he can say it. Like,
Yeah. And
um,
yeah, though that was my exact feeling with this rewatch when that scene came around and the way they just kind of dragged that joke throughout the rest of the movie with Randall putting, that phrase on the back of his jacket, it 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 was just so stupid. It was so
so
stupid.
let me tell you a little story about my second theater viewing of Clerks II
Okay.
is I went with the same group of people, or mostly. Um, and then I also went with my two friends from work, Shannon and Camaro. Camaro, Camaro is a black man. We were driving to the theater, got in the theater, sat down, the credits rolled, and I had this thought: oh fuck, there's like an entire 20-minute scene of them dropping racial slurs that I hadn't even thought about when I invited them to the theater. And I'm just like sitting in my chair dreading that scene coming because I'm like, oh my god, this is so bad. And then it finally happened, and you know, Camaro was just like, hmm. And then I talked to them the next day, and he was just like, yeah, I didn't really like that. Which, like, makes sense. But, like, it's just, like, now I can laugh at it because I'm just like, oh, man, you really should have thought about that. You were, you were real stupid.
Yeah.
But, yeah, I'm not, like, obviously, I don't know. I have a lot of mixed feelings because I think him putting it on the back of his jacket is kind of amusing because it plays into the later portion where the cop is like, what? Like sees it and is like, "What the fuck?" And then he gets arrested. But um, yeah, I don't know. I think I I don't know. I do get that though. I think it's if you would have taken that out of the movie, I think you could have replaced it with something else where it would have been.
Actually funny.
I do think that when Randall is like, well, look at you telling me I can't do something because of my race. You're the racist. That part makes me laugh every time, just because I'm just like, that's funny. But yeah, it wasn't necessary.
Yeah. So you want to get into this fucking dance scene?
So I go back and forth on it.
No, man. Fuck that scene, man.
I go back and forth on it. I honestly think if it would have just been Dante and Becky dancing on the roof, I would be totally fine. Like I'd be totally fine with it. But and I do like the part where Silent Bob and Jay, like specifically Silent Bob, mouse the Michael Jackson bit where he's just like, "I think I love you."
I don't know, man. I feel like if you're not an animated movie, like a Disney animated movie or something along those lines, if you're a live action movie, you shouldn't be fucking cutting away from the story and just inserting this dance scene that makes no sense. I don't know. Maybe it's going over my head. Maybe there's a meaning to it.
Yeah, man, it's a physical representation of their love. That they even make a heart, which I think is funny. You know what is a really good detail about that I just noticed for the first time yesterday was you can see Dante and Becky on the roof dancing, like in the group dance sequence. And I was like, oh, that's cool. Like, that's just, honestly, that's a funny thing to think about when they're filming it. They're just like, all right, Brian and Rosario, you're just on the roof over there dancing. We're just all down here dancing together. And they're just like, all right.
So, yeah, I don't know. I almost turned the movie off when that part came. Because I had completely forgot that scene was in there. Like I said, I hadn't watched it in its entirety since 2006. So when I got to that part, I was just sitting there looking at the screen like, what the fuck is going on here? and then shortly after that, we get the fucking bestiality scene with Kinky Kelly and the sexy stud.
Oh, you're not a fan of the Donkey Show?
No.
I think that scene is funny. Specifically when the sexy stud is behind Kiki Kelly and he spits in his hand, makes me laugh every single time.
Okay. If that scene would have been trimmed a little bit, then maybe it would have been serviceable. But I think part of my issue with that being in the film at all is when you get to that ending or near the end when Dante and Randall have that back and forth in the jail cell, which is really great. You have the donkey fucker in there. you have the sexy stud in there, and he makes this offhand comment, and if you take him out, that scene is like almost perfect. But because he's in there and he has those few words, it's like, ugh.
I mean, unlike the earlier scene. Also, I should point out that I wasn't like defending the use of the racial slur, or at least that wasn't my intention. I don't
think anybody would take it that way.
I don't think you should use those words. But I don't know, man. I enjoyed it. I think it's a really well put together scene, minus Elias's portion where he masturbates. That's the only part where I'm just like, all right, dude. I think it pays off so many jokes throughout the film so well. Like, even if I'm not a fan of a lot of the jokes throughout, that donkey show is the payoff to a lot of scenes where I'm just kind of like, okay. Like, Elias is mentioning pillow pants, and Randall gets, mixes up gets a mix up in terms of the which earlier Elias is like, "Were there any pictures? Did you get it right?" And he's like, "No, but it should be fine." And then it isn't what they expected at all. Becky comes in. And that's when Dante and her, kiss, and the policeman sees Randall's jacket and is just like, "What the fuck?" I don't know, man. I enjoy it. I think it's so chaotic and is a reason, sets up the reason why they're in jail, and then provides the emotional back and forth between Dante and Randall, and then I just love that guy, like him just him spitting in his hand is like the fucking funniest thing to me. Just and then when Emma brings in the cake and he's like, cake. That makes me laugh every time.
The only thing I like about that scene is when Randall's sitting there like, "Don't worry, the chick's coming."
And he's just dancing.
I swear to God, the chick's coming any minute.
Yeah, I do like how another two things. Well, I guess one really. Well, two, but it involves the same character. I think Jay is phenomenal in Jason Mewes in that scene. Because, like you saying, when Randall's like, "There's going to be a chick," and Jay is like, he's getting awfully far with that donkey there. That part is so funny to me. And then, oh yeah, I remember what I was going to say. So earlier when Silent Bob and Jay are behind the store and Jay is pissing, and then Randall and Dante come out and they like talk about Becky being pregnant. It has the payoff in that scene where Jay misinterpreted or misheard and thought it was Emma and not Becky, and then he goes up to Becky and says, "Congratulations, I heard you were pregnant," and then he's hit that 2-time and fuck with this. That part makes me laugh every single time I watch it.
All right, I will say to give the dance scene a bit of a pass, I do like at the very beginning when they first go up to the to the roof and she yells down "Hey, 12 step," and he looks like, and Jay just looks up, "Lord."
I do like, yeah. I do like when she's like, "Do something danceable," and they play that King Diamond song. Something a little less demonic. Let's take a quick detour real quick, because I want to talk about how good I think Rosario Dawson is in that movie. Yeah, she is. Honestly, I like if Randall is the anchor in the first one that keeps everything together because of like how great he is, his dialogue and just his acting in it. I guess I wouldn't necessarily say his acting, but I guess his writing is really great, and he's has all the best lines in the movie. I think Rosario Dawson is the anchor in Clerks II. She's just like such a fun character, and you can understand why anyone would be in love with her.
Yeah.
But anyway, let's get back to the jail scene, because that is probably the best scene in the whole movie.
Yeah, I agree with that.
The only problem I have with that scene is, why the fuck are the doors all open? Like the sexy stud, like his jail cell door is open, and he's just walking in and out of it, and
yeah,
you see Randall closing his own cell door. It's like, why are they all in separate cells? Like, except the 4 main cast. I mean, I get like those are the most important people, but like, I don't know. It doesn't. Yeah, just doesn't make sense to me.
I do got a question.
Yeah.
So you get to the end of that scene, and Jay and Silent Bob reveal that they have the money that would potentially buy the Quick Mark back. Is that like something that's like, do they get that money in like the Jay and Silent Bob movie?
Yep.
Okay, that's what I figured. 'Cause like I said, I haven't seen it, but I figured like that was kind of like a payoff or a callback to their standalone.
Yeah, so in Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back, the plot is because there's a comic book that's made about them. Their likeness is in the movie, and they get this happens over the course of like Mallrats chasing Amy, uh,
Okay.
where like there's a comic book based off them, and they get paid uh, throughout the movies, especially in Chasing Amy. This happens, but then it gets sold to the property gets sold to Miramax, and they're gonna make a big budget movie. And Jay and Silent Bob are like, man, we gotta go get that fat movie cash. So then they go to Hollywood to try to get the cash or basically stop production on the movie. Um, so they get paid though. They like big time payment for their likeness in the Blunt Man and Chronic movie. So that's how they have the movie, which is like I remember because I was a fan of the movies. Uh, like when I saw it in theaters, that first reveal of like where Randall or whether basically like we don't have the money, and then it like it's just a shot of those two, and then you just hear Jay say, "We do." Like that's such a great twist, I think. Um,
Yeah, and I think it speaks volumes that even for someone like me who hasn't seen the rest of the films, it like that still lands
yeah,
when they say like we do. Like I could still like draw the connections. Like okay, and it still lands. So I think that that speaks volumes to that scene in general.
I there's a part in that uh gives me chills every single time. Like like I said, I just watched it twice, and both times I got chills at the exact same part, which is where Randall kind of backs Dante in a corner and is like, "Live your life the way it makes sense to you. Stop living the life that's expected to you." I wrote this down because I wanted to get this right. Dante responds, "Oh yeah? And what's that? You obviously have such a great handle on your life. Tell me what you would do if you were in my position. Or even what you would do in your own position. Swing that judgmental pendulum back the other way and tell me how you would solve all your problems, asshole. What the fuck would the great Randall Graves do if he were half the master of his destiny that I'm supposed to be?" That part, I just got chills right now reading that. Like, such good writing. It's the Brian O'Halloran who plays Dante. His uh, performance in that scene is so great. Um, Not to take away from anyone else, because I think Jeff Anderson, who plays Randall, is really good in that scene too. But
Yeah,
man, there's just something about that, because not only is there a callback to the first one in there, because in the first one, Randall is like, "I like to think I'm a master of my own destiny." Um, so not only is Randall or Dante calling back to that, but it's kind of just like pushing it back in his face, like, dude, if like you have such a great handle on your life, why the fuck are we both in the same position right now? Like, that's just so good. I love that part.
yeah. Another part I really like, um, I like in the first one when Silent Bob finally speaks, he has like this really profound statement, and then in the sequel, he's just like, I got nothing.
So I guess originally in the original script, Silent Bob was supposed to suggest for them to buy the Quick Stop, but then while they were filming it, they changed it, and like, yeah, that's a wonderful addition, because like as someone who has watched all the films, that's a constant thing. Is uh Silent Bob will, when he speaks, will usually have something kind of profound or funny to say. Um, like it happens in I guess the only one where it doesn't happen is Dogma, but he does it in Chasing Amy. He has this really long scene in Chasing Amy where he talks, and yeah, it just flips everything, or it flips the script, so to speak. Yeah, that's a really nice thing, I think. And then they open the quick stop back up, and that's the end of that.
I will say one thing, even though I didn't enjoy the movie, and there were parts where I wanted to turn it off while I was watching it yesterday. I did enjoy it just because the aesthetic of them working in the fast food just like brought back memories of us working together at Long John Silver's.
Yeah. It's funny, they don't really focus. I think the thing about Clerks 1 that works is like they focus a lot on like their job and what they do. And in
Mhm.
Clerks 2, it's kind of like an afterthought.
Yeah. When's the last time you had Long John Silver's?
Man, I can't even think of the last. I think it was with you, actually, when we went up there.
Man, that was a long time ago.
Yeah. Well, all of them by me closed down. So, for better or worse, I guess. Shout out to Wanda Sykes in Clerks 2. She's great. And
Yeah.
what's that comedian's name? Punisher? Clerks 2.
The Ben Affleck cameo could have did without that.
I honestly do like that scene. I guess his line of dialogue isn't that funny, but I just love the shot of him where like he just has that stupid mustache.
So do you think Dante's a good guy?
Hold on, I'm looking up who this other guy was because I cannot remember who the fuck he is. Earthquake. Earthquake and Wanda Sykes. I love
Okay.
I love when she's like, cockstain. Did you just say a cockstain? You want to be my little cockstain? Is Dante a good guy? I think Dante tries to be, but is human and makes mistakes. It just so happens that a lot of his mistakes are really bad, really bad. I don't think he's necessarily a bad person in Clerks 2, which is funny because he cheats on his fiancée and gets somebody else pregnant. But I think he is sort of a bad person in Clerks 1 because he's like, I just think in Clerks 2 it happened like they're attracted to each other, Becky and Dante, and like they have a really strong friendship, but I don't necessarily think either one of them was going into them hanging out like, yeah, this is it. This is where we're going to have sex. It just kind of naturally happened. Not to say that it was right, but I think it was an accident, and I think I can forgive the character Dante for, making a mistake like that because it wasn't. He didn't mean any ill will towards Emma.
You're probably right, but I guess the damning evidence against him is how he acted in the original.
Yeah.
Because in the original he was just a fucking piece of shit. But also he was 22 years old in the original.
Right.
So
right. Yeah, I give him a pass for the first one just because he's so young, and then, but I do think he's a worse person in the original one than he is in the second one, just because like in the first one, he's still with Veronica and is actively trying to repair his relationship with Caitlin. And then only when he gets called out, finally realizes how much Veronica means.
Do you think it's when he finally gets called out, or do you think it's when the door is more so shut with Caitlin because she's now in shock because she,
Well, that because the scene that happens right before Randall tells Veronica is Jay and Silent Bob, and that's when Silent Bob has that speech about most girls don't bring lasagna to work. So he realizes it there. I don't necessarily think Dante's a bad person. I just think he makes really poor decisions.
Yeah, I agree. I think, like you said, in the first one he's a douchebag, but he gets a pass for being young, I suppose. But yeah, in the second one, he's so obviously not in love with Emma, but more so in love with the idea of just moving away and starting this life that he thinks he's supposed to have.
Yeah, I think that's where Clerks 2 shines for me, is the idea of being in your 30s and still not having anything figured out is a really relatable subject, I think. And I think that's the strength of the movie is just how relatable that idea is. Like for Dante, the reason why Emma is appealing is because he can, start a new life, whereas he doesn't actually
have to work for it. It's being handed to him.
Right.
Yeah.
Which is again plays into his character of where he's such a smart guy and is afraid of change and is only making this one change because, it's like handed to him on a silver platter. Like,
yeah.
Clerks 1, it's good. Clerks 2, I think it's all right, I guess.
I still think it's a flaming piece of shit, but I'm about ready for a break, man. How about you?
Yeah, sounds good. Let's
all right.
Take a break.
Yeah, see? Listen here, you banana heads. Here's a couple snippets from our break for your listening pleasure.
It's kind of wild. This is what, episode 4?
Mm-hmm. Technically 5 was 0, so...
Yeah, man, we're almost halfway to the end. We'll get into it when we do our episode next one, but like I've been listening to like a lot of women artists in R&B, and like a lot of it has been songs that like my fiance has been playing for years, and then I just like drown it out. And then like I had this realization like when I started like really like listening to him, like, man, she's been playing fucking hits for years.
Yeah, dude, you gotta. She's been playing bangers, and you just been fucking listening to Young Jock or something.
I wasn't listening to Young Jock. Usher, Lil Jon, and Ludacris is like, that's like a holy trinity on a song, because they got that one, and then they got Lovers and Friends.
Lovers and Friends. Oh, I have heard that song. Now that I think about it.
Tell me again. Yeah, they don't fucking miss.
Lil Jon has a line in there where he's talking about coming in a girl from behind or something. If I remember correctly, it's like such a off-put. It's such a weird line.
By the way, do you have a recommendation?
No, but I can make one up real quick.
Okay, I'm gonna look up this lyric while you get a recommendation.
Man, there's so many people involved with this Confessions album. Crazy. Alright. What am I gonna suggest? My recommendation is get the fuck on. No,
Okay, so I think the line you might be alluding to is, he says, "Are you sure you want to go this route? Shawty, let me know before I pull it out. Shawty."
And like the rest of the song is kind of like, it's like lovey-dovey, like it's all singy-songy, and then he's just like, "I'm gonna pull my dick out of you." And,
let me know if you want me to impregnate you.
You want the semen? And then Usher's just like, "Love semen in your puss."
Dude, Ludacris is another early 2000s rapper.
Dude,
it's just amazing.
Oh, see, I think Ludacris is funny. I wouldn't necessarily say Ludacris is good.
Oh, you're bugging, man.
I think a lot of his cadence is like kind of whack to me.
You know, the thing that he has going for him is you can clearly understand every word he says.
Yeah, and he has such a big personality that comes out in his raps. I am like, all right, I think Ludacris is cool. I don't necessarily know if he's like a really good rapper.
I love that song. Get back, motherfucker! You don't know me like that.
Yeah, the video for that song is real great too, where he's got the Hulk,
It is.
where he's got the Hulk hands on.
Yeah.
What's that? What's that other? Oh, Roll Out. That video is real good too.
Oh, move, bitch. Get out the way.
Hello, welcome back.
Welcome back.
Back from break, and
we are refreshed, relieved,
refreshed, and ready.
Stretched my legs a bit.
Refreshed, relieved, and ready for some gosh darn recommendations.
It's a lot of R's.
Yeah, that was the point. I'm doing some.
Oh, okay. I see what you did there. You're getting good at this. You're getting good at this podcasting thing.
I told you I'm the rookie of the year. Like I said, I'm the rookie of the year.
No. I told you in our early test recordings, I think it comes natural to you. I wonder if it has to do with the fact that you've been in bands.
Oh, I don't know.
And
I wasn't like a main, I wasn't like the lead singer or guitar player in bands. I was just a drummer in the back, and I think it, I don't know if
maybe just that stage presence rubs off. Maybe.
Oh, maybe. I don't know. I definitely like in the test recordings. If you go back and, well, nobody will besides us. Maybe.
Unless we, maybe. Yeah, I don't think we're ever releasing those.
But you can tell in the beginning how hesitant and trepidatious we are. Just kind of like, so Breath of the Wild is cool. I like How I Met Your Mother.
And what next episode we're gonna have to talk about? Just like briefly say all the things that we talked about in our test recordings.
Yeah, like when I had COVID and I rewatched How I Met Your Mother and was like, I don't like this show anymore.
But anyway, we got some recommendations to get to.
Yeah, so Travis told me that he's gone first a bunch, so I can hardly remember who goes first for intros and outros. So I'm glad that someone is keeping track of this.
So maybe you aren't the rookie of the year then.
You're not rookie of the year. You're just a rookie.
That's all right, man. You can be the most improved player.
Hey, man, I'll be like that Ja Morant guy and be a superstar and still get a rookie of the year award.
Yeah, there you go.
Anyway, my random recommendation is a little video game called Phoenix Wright Ace Attorney, originally released in America on the Nintendo DS. It is a visual novel adventure game where you take hold of the title character, Phoenix Wright, who is a defense attorney, a rookie defense attorney, keeping the theme of rookies going. So I will say that a lot of this game is visual. There's not a lot of like actual gameplay elements. In terms of like, you don't walk around as Phoenix Wright and like, you know, you don't control his movements like in terms of like walking necessarily. Well, I guess I should say you play a defense attorney. A lot of it is you investigate murders and then you go to court and try to get your person off or try to get the charges dropped. It's like, it's funny because the tone is like silly. But then, like, it's just like, yeah, this guy died. He got murdered. He got stabbed in the head with a knife. But then they're in court, like, making jokes. So I think the tone is kind of a little odd. But I think that's honestly probably why I enjoy it as much, because it's just so goofy and it has these moments where it like shows you somebody being killed, and then like the next scene is just like Phoenix Wright and his sidekick Maya making jokes in their office. And I'm just like, this is so fucking weird. Anyway, you basically investigate murders and try to get your client off of charges. And every single case that I've played so far, I think I'm at the last case right now, but every single case you've you play throughout, your client is not guilty. There hasn't been a time where you've defended someone who like is guilty and like is a scumbag. It's always just kind of like you defend a person who has an unfortunate series of events happen that lead to him or her being the prime suspect. But I just think this game is really charming. I think once you get into the gameplay loop of like figuring out how to present evidence to build your case, and it is kind of a rewarding feeling to make like two connections, because you'll like over the course of the investigation find obviously evidence, and a lot of it is kind of random when you find it at first. Like you'll find a piece of paper with scribbling on it, and then you're like, I don't know what this means, and then like you'll get to a case. Somebody like the prosecutor will present like a knife, and then you'll examine the knife and look at the letters and be like, wait, I've seen this before. And like even the characters will say, I've seen this before, and you'll like look through your evidence and find the note and then like flip it upside down and be like, oh wow, this is like all connected. So it is really rewarding once you make those connections and are able to prove your client's innocence. I can see not a lot of people being into this based on it is more so a visual novel, and a lot of the actions you take are just not necessarily like your movement of the character as much as like pushing dialogue forward. But yeah, I like it. So it first came out on the Game Boy Advance and was ported to the DS, and then there was a 3DS trilogy. And that trilogy just was ported a couple years ago to the Switch. So it is widely available. Like I said, it started as a Game Boy Advance game. You can tell it's a Game Boy Advance game from the first, like, portions of it. But they added a new case in the DS version of it, and, like, uses the DS hardware a lot more, and that is probably the best part. The best case so far in the game. Yeah. Phoenix Wright, Ace Attorney. It's on the Nintendo Switch, along with the 2 sequels. So yeah, I recommend it.
Sounds really interesting. No, it actually does. It sounds like something I would be into.
Yeah, man, you should give it a try. Like I said, the tone is kind of off-putting a little bit, but because it is like, we're going to show you somebody being killed, and then it's just immediately like, hey, I'm Phoenix Wright. I need a coffee. And there's whatever, and it's just like, all right.
Well, speaking of coffee.
Oh?
See, I told you, we're getting good at this. We might be the Rookie of the Year.
Damn, you know what?
We're getting...
That wasn't even intentional. I didn't even mean this.
Yeah.
Man, we are Rookie of the Year.
Yeah. Rate this show 5 stars because we're the Rookies of the Year.
Okay, but seriously, rate this show 5 stars. Because
please,
if you like it. If you don't,
my ego needs it.
if you don't, don't. But if you like it. Anyway, coffee.
Speaking of coffee, yeah, my random recommendation is going to be coffee, which might be boring, but let me explain.
Coffee, and then they just turn this off and rate us 1 star.
Right. Okay, so you said you use a Keurig, right?
Yep.
Okay, so you're familiar with that like faint, distinct like plasticky taste you get out of a K-cup?
Yeah, man, I love it. No, I'm just kidding. Yeah, I'm familiar with it.
Okay, what if I told you that there was a coffee out there that worked for your Keurig that didn't have that?
I'd be intrigued.
Okay, it's called San Francisco Bay. So San Francisco Bay, they have what is called 1-cups.
Okay.
Which if you look at them top down, they look like K-cups. But instead of having the plastic bottom, it just looks like a filter. So when you pop it in your Keurig and the water runs through it, it's not running through any plastic, so you don't get that plastic taste whatsoever.
So is the container made of plastic, but the bottom is like sort of a mesh, or is it like kind of all?
No. So the top part, it's the same. It's the exact same as like a K cup.
Okay.
It's just the bottom part is different.
Okay.
And then the coffee, just the coffee itself, the coffee grounds are amazing.
Ooh.
So my favorite is the Fog Chaser.
Man, that's a good name.
And there's also a Rainforest blend that is also equally as amazing. What I usually do is I go on Amazon and I order their variety pack. In their variety pack, you get a French roast, the Fog Chaser, the Rainforest blend, and then you get a breakfast blend. They have a few different sizes, which let me look it up right now. Actually, I think the size I get is 80. You can get a 80 count variety pack for $36.99.
How many? 30?
You get 80.
80? Wow.
You get 80. Yep. So you will get 20 of each flavor, and they have different variety packs that have different roasts and some flavor. Like they have decaf, like anything you could think of. Like they have they have one that's called cinnamon crumb cake. They have a caramel, a Colombian Supremo, a donut shop, which is a pretty popular blend of coffee, I guess. They have an espresso. Like I said, my favorite's the Fog Chaser. And the cool thing is, even if you don't have a Keurig, they sell these things, or this coffee. You can get them like whole bean,
Okay.
or you can get it ground. But like I said, if you have a Keurig or a machine similar to a Keurig, you're doing yourself a disservice by not at least trying San Francisco Bay.
Yeah, I mean that variety pack is a pretty good deal. So,
and then you can like through Amazon, you can subscribe and save a few dollars, and it'll just like auto ship to your house every so often. I actually just ran out, and I haven't wanted to drink coffee, and I'm a heavy coffee drinker. I drink like 3 cups of coffee a day. But since I've ran out, I drink one because all I have left is just some Maxwell House K cups, and they just don't do it for me.
yeah, I can see that.
But yeah, San Francisco Bay. I actually was looking at a list that rated the best coffee you can get for your Keurig, and that Fog Chaser blend was number 1.
Oh wow. Okay. Yeah. Hey. How's the breakfast blend, by the way?
The breakfast blend is okay, but that's my least favorite, only because, and it's a thing with all like K cups or Keurig machines, is that there's so little coffee in each pod that if you do like a 10-ounce brew, it's gonna taste watered down.
Yep.
And the breakfast blend is inherently already a weaker blend, so if you do anything less than like a 6, you can get away with an 8-ounce. But if you do anything more than that, it doesn't taste like coffee anymore.
Right.
Especially if you put a lot of creamer and sugar in.
So you can get it on Amazon. Can you buy
Yes.
it off their official website?
You can. Prices look to be a little bit higher if you order straight from them. So I would definitely recommend going the Amazon route, especially because anytime I've ordered it off Amazon, it's come the next day. Speaking of which, did you know that anytime you order something next day off Amazon, it's never 9 times out of 10 it's never an actual Amazon delivery driver that delivers it to you?
What do you mean? Oh, it's like the Flex guy?
Yeah.
That's interesting.
Cuz I'm one of those Flex guys.
That's me.
I used to be. I don't do it so much anymore. But yeah,
San Francisco Bay coffee.
yeah, man. check it out. I think so when I get the variety pack, I usually will run through the French roast first and then bounce back between the fog chaser and the rainforest, and then I'll finish off the breakfast blend while I'm waiting for my next case to come. And to my knowledge, this is the only brand that has that type of pod for your Keurig machine.
Mm-hmm.
To my knowledge, there might be other ones out there that I might just be, not paying attention to, but
they got the 1-cup pods. They got a 2-pound bag of breakfast blend. Got a 12-ounce bag. Yeah, they sell masks.
Oh shit, do they?
Mm-hmm.
I want one. I'm like the only one still wearing a mask.
I'm pretty much the only one at my job wearing a mask still. But I think I decided recently that when June hits, I'm gonna lay off a little bit until I read that cases go up.
Currently I'm in a situation where I don't want to breathe anybody else's air.
Well, yeah, you have a child too, so that makes sense. Ugh.
Dude, I think I'm gonna get this mask.
They should make. Does it smell like coffee? That's what I want to know.
Dude, how awesome would that be if they had like little inserts?
A filter that filters air, but also it's scented, so it's like here's some coffee. You want to smell coffee all day?
They only have blue ones, but
it looks like they have red. Oh, and they only have it in stock.
Yeah, I wonder how much the shipping is. I'm not gonna sit here and order a mask off of a coffee website. So anyway, that is my random recommendation. It's not as exciting as a video game or a book, but if you're an avid coffee drinker like myself, then I would say check it out. Like I said, even if you don't have a Keurig machine and or a machine, a single serve machine like that, you can get the ground coffee or the whole coffee beans. Have you ever done that? Like got like whole coffee beans and ground them up?
Nope.
It's so good.
I just done the Keurig because it's the laziest. It's the laziest thing ever.
Yeah, same here, man. I used to I used to be that guy that like, oh no, Keurig machines are trash. But when you have a child and you have to find ways to do things quicker, I guess I should say, or more conveniently.
Right. Yeah, that's my thing is it's just quicker and more convenient. I don't even have a real excuse where I'm just like, I do this because I have a child. I do this because I'm taking care of somebody. I do this because I woke up late. It's like, no, I just waited until the last possible second to do everything and was like, oh shit.
All right, man. Well, I think that's a wrap.
Yep. We intended to talk about something else today, but my stupid fucking topic went so goddamn long.
Yeah, I'm sorry for shitting on Clerks II for so long.
No, I mean, it's alright. It's your opinion. You know what I mean? You're entitled to your wrong opinion.
No, what's the saying everyone likes to say? You're entitled to your opinion, but you're not entitled to your own facts.
That's funny. Yeah, I guess that's the end of this episode. So, I guess again, I'd like to say that I'd like to thank everybody who took the time to listen to our first few episodes that we dropped. Like I said in the episode 0, we'll get better. I promise.
Yeah, I think at the end of Monday, we were sitting around what, like 63, 64 downloads.
Yeah,
which
is surprising, and honestly,
if we're basing basing it off like we each made a post on our social media about like, okay, the podcast is out, like kind of an announcement. We want to base it off of like the amount of comments we each get, or we each got, I should say. I probably am like 4 or 5 of those downloads, and the rest of them are probably people you know.
Yeah, but I mean that's 4 or 5 people, so still good.
Yeah. I guess to put things in perspective, like they always say, like if you think the number of people you have subscribed to you or the number of people have listened you don't think it's high enough. Just imagine you're in a room with that many people and you're talking to them.
Yeah.
So
I'm very grateful for everybody that took the time to listen and who reached out and had kind words to say, and even if you listened to it and didn't like it, thanks for even listening to it. So
yeah, I did get some constructive criticism back, and I do certainly appreciate that. I mean, at the end of the day, we want to create the show that we want, but we also want it to be entertaining. So anytime anybody has any pointers, we're open to that.
Yep. And I actually had my friend Alex, who I haven't talked to in a really long time, high school. I knew her in high school. Alexandria Young. Her name is Alexandria Young Johnson now because she's married and has children. But she actually ordered a book for me.
Nice.
Because I complained about how I need to read more, and yeah. So thank you for that. I really appreciate that, and I'm gonna read it. I swear to God, I'm gonna read it one day. I feel like, though, I need to read your suggested one first before I do that. So, might be a second. But
maybe I wouldn't take it personal if you read hers first, because I didn't buy the book for you and she did. So
well, we'll see. I'll get to it eventually. But yeah, again, I just want to thank everybody who listened. Thanks for, all the feedback. I think the best way to help us grow is for people to share it and rate us and keep downloading. So if you could do that, I hate this right now because I I just feel so fake doing this, but it's a necessary evil, I guess. Again, I just want to thank everybody for taking the time to listen. Thanks for listening to this episode all the way through. I totally forgot the outro.
Mr. Rookie of the Year.
All right. Here we go. So yeah, thanks for making it to the end of this episode. Hope you enjoyed it. Really do, honestly. If you did, feel free to tweet us how you've been nerding out. You can find us at Nerds Collide Pod on Twitter. We also have an Instagram, so you can find us on social media there. And just remember, the term nerd is rated E for everyone. Find your passion, embrace it, be the nerd that you are. Or else. Travis, I'm not even supposed to be here today.